Hi everyone, welcome to Lectora Live. I just realized one of my lights isn't on. Hold on.
That's better.
That's why it's a pre-show. So this is just our quick pre-show. We've got with us right next to me, actually literally not far from me, he's about 10 feet away, is Scott Barnett, VP of Marketing at Trivantis. And he actually lives not too far from us. So whenever we have a chance, we try to get together, have a lunch, and talk business and do shows. So that's always fun to have Scott down here. And he's in our new offices. We moved here about 6 months ago now, in November. So it's been almost 7 months. And it's been good. He's in the new studio. He's in one
great. It's way bigger than the old one, I gotta say.
It's about probably 10 feet longer than the old one was. It's about the same width. But it gives us more room. So now we have two sets of lights and everything, and it's pretty amazing. We actually turned his track lights off because it was so bright. These cameras are sensitive, and we're using Canon XA35s. They're great cameras, but they are definitely sensitive. Let me get this out of my face. There we go. All right, so let's start the show recording now. What we'll see we put the show recordings on Vimeo. And we've got the live recordings on YouTube. So here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lectora Live, your inside track into Lectora. Today I'm joined by Scott Barnett, the VP of Marketing with Lectora. Well, actually, with Trivantis, I'm sorry. And let's run our intro real quick. We are back. Well, Scott, as always, a pleasure to have you on with us here. And we both just got back about 3 weeks ago from the Lectora User Conference in Cincinnati. Now, that was my first trip to Cincinnati ever, where we actually stopped. We've driven through it twice. And I like Cincinnati. That was a nice town.
Did you get the whole Porkopolis thing with the flying pigs? Did that?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't go out that much. We only went out like one day or maybe two, just to walk around a little bit. Walked around downtown, found a CVS. That's always an exciting attraction whenever you go to CVS. But so we found a couple places to get snacks. The hotel was really nice. We were at the Hyatt Regency.
Yep.
But they were weird. They didn't have a sundry room, a sundry store. So we had to go look around for a CVS, and we found one. Actually, we made the mistake of taking a bridge from one hotel to the other, to the other, to the other. Got lost. After about a half hour, we figured out where we were. But they connect a lot of bridges downtown through a lot of buildings through bridges. It's sort of interesting because they're not that cold in winter. But it was cool. It was an interesting city, and the people are darn nice. I mean, they're just, everybody was so friendly and polite, and just a good place. They treated us really well at the hotel. And the people at the conference were it was wonderful to see everybody. Everybody was in a good, positive mood, and that's always nice to see. What was your impression of the show?
I think the conference was a big success. We had a lot of people there, and very, very sort of rabid fans of the products. We had great sessions that were led by users who were expert in CourseMill, in Lectora, in ReviewLink. And we had the opportunity for them to interface with the people who make the products, which was great. And of course, we started and kicked things off with Carl Kapp, who is the gamification e-learning authority, and he did a really, really great presentation. He did something that was completely interactive, and when he described what he wanted to do to us, we thought, well, this is really different. This is going to be something that people will definitely remember, because he basically turned his presentation into a game and made it very interactive, with two different teams competing as he went through the lessons of e-learning and gamification.
Carl is a great guy, and we had him on the show yesterday on eLearn Chat. And he's just wonderful. I've known Carl for several years now. I've had dinner with him a couple of times, and he's just a really nice guy. Aside from knowing a heck of a lot, I always call him the minimalizer. He minimalizes all the buzzwords, and he just gets it down to kind of a normal thing, and he gets rid of a lot of the junk around the topics of gamification, interactivity, engagement. And he's kind of professor that I think we all wish we probably had in college, because he's really fun. He's interesting, and he said it went better than he thought, because that was the first time he did that kind of keynote, where he was using Poll Anywhere to figure out what the audience responses were as the event was going on, as the keynote was going on. And the only thing he regretted is he didn't have more content, because they got through it much more quickly than he thought. He said they just went right through it. And I go, well, the lectoral crowd's really sharp. They're on it. They just go right to it. They're very programmer-like, some of them. And he said it went really quickly. So now he's going to add more interactivity for the next time he does this, to make sure that it does last the time allotted. But he really had an enjoyable time, and thought the crowd was absolutely great.
Yeah.
Because they really were getting it. And you know what's interesting? When they came out of I didn't realize what he had done, but I heard people coming out talking when they were walking by where we had a booth. They were talking about, that's really interesting. Do you think it worked? Do you think it didn't work? And so there was a lot of thought afterwards, which is always good, because people are contemplating something totally different.
Yeah, I think that when you try and teach people how to make e-learning interactive, and how to build games within courses, it's a different sort of thing. I mean, he's written something like 8 books on e-learning, and I think 7 of them are about gamification and game theory, and how do you incorporate it in e-learning. And so to go at it from an angle of, we're going to get the group to compete, we're going to have there be risks that people take, there are wrong answers, and there was even a little bit of it was joking and kidding humiliation, but there was some humiliation involved for some of the people who selected the wrong answers on the poll. But it was a really, really fun way to get across that kind of information. And I think we learned a lot too. I mean, we learned, for example, that the use of an interactive game actually promotes higher retention in terms of memory than sort of book knowledge and learning out of in a more linear fashion. And there were a lot of other statistics that Carl sort of brought to the table. We're going to do another webinar with Carl probably a little bit later this year. And so if you didn't make it to the LUC, but you want to get a chance to see some content from him, we've got a recorded webinar in the community now from last year, and then we'll have another one coming up soon.
And if you haven't seen Carl in webinars or doing keynotes, he's fun. He's really knowledgeable, and he's extremely accessible. He's not one of those that comes out, does his keynote, and leaves. He actually hung out quite a bit that day, and in fact, we did an interview. We did over a half hour with him at the show. So we had a real great interview with him, and had a lot of fun talking about what happened, and so it was a good kind of a post-mortem on the keynote, and he just loved it. We had a good time, and you could tell he's already thinking, what am I going to do next? I got to do something different. I want to take that to the next level, because he's also starting to talk a lot about virtual reality, augmented reality, and so he's looking at different things and how to bring them more into the e-learning world versus just having it out there. So it should be pretty interesting to see what he comes up with. And by the way, he's also got several courses on lynda.com. If you haven't gone there, they're very good courses. If you want to learn more about what gamification is and isn't, he's got a great course on that. In fact, after you see that, you realize that there's a lot of BS around gamification, and he gets rid of it. He really comes down to, look, it's not a game. It can be, but it's really elements of game design, story, narrative, surprises, mystery, all the things that make something more interesting. That's really what he's in for, and it's fun. And I think he's I've met way too many professors in my life, and he's one of the ones that actually earns his keep. So we'll just put it that way, I guess.
We had a lot of other presenters at the event too. You were a presenter at the event. What you presented on audio, I believe, right?
I did, and it's funny. All the time that I was doing the presentation, I kept thinking of Carl's thing, and how I should have made it more interactive and done more. And it was somewhat interactive, but it wasn't as interactive as it could have been. And the one thing I noticed, and this was sort of an odd one, I felt the presentation. I've given this one many times. Usually standing room only, 60 to 100 people, and very engaged, very interactive. I wasn't getting the feed this time. I was going, oh man, I'm blowing it. This isn't good. And I can get into it with an audience when they're getting into it, but there was much happening. So I was trying to get myself into it with them, and they're like, And I saw some of them afterwards and go, oh, that was so much fun. We had a great time.
They're a quiet crew sometimes.
It was. But when I first said it, does everybody have a microphone? Almost every hand came up. Wow, you guys are much further than most groups. So how many of you have good mics? No hands come up. It's like 2 hands come up. I go, that's it? All of them have like little cheap USB mics. But I was asking questions and trying to get responses, but it was really like pull the tooth, pull it out. It was interesting. So this particular group was very interested, I guess, but they weren't interactive. So I had to get a little bit more. But I made one mistake in my presentation, and it's normally a little over an hour presentation, and I had probably 15 minutes to go, and we ran out of time. I was like, Now we got most of it done. We got, I think, 80% of the content was covered. The other part was more reference. But still, you always want to get to the end and formalize it. So,
well, maybe what we do is we redo it as a webinar and then give you a chance to get through the whole thing.
That would be fun. I'd love to do that.
Okay, that sounds good.
And let me know when. It's something I like. You know me. I like audio. I like microphones. It's an uncanny, crazy like of microphones, and I never really cared that much in the old days. And one day I said, mics, I love them. Go figure.
Well, I don't think I've worn the same mic 2 times in all the times I've been here.
You know, you're right. You've had a Sennheiser 416. You had a Rode NTG3. Today you've got the Rode HS1 headset microphone.
The Madonna one, I feel like I should be on stage.
That's right.
In a metal brassiere or something.
Singing like a virgin, right?
Exactly.
But you're right. We have put you on different mics. I was going to actually have you on another shotgun today, but if you notice, there's no arm on that table, even though the brace for it is there. And I went, where's the arm? So I didn't go looking for it this morning. So that's why I put that one on. Because that's actually a very good talking mic. And that is used a lot in presentations because it's very thin and it's small. But that thing has just about as good a sound as some of these big ones. So it's pretty amazing. That's about a $300 mic. So you're on a $300 mic right now. This thing's originally used to be $1,500.
Wow.
This is the Sennheiser MKH416, which is one of the most popular mics in the world. It's been used in TV and movies, just a lot, radio, broadcasting, voiceover. I got it when it was $950, and I went, it went down $700. Wow. So I bought it. And I have 2 of them, and they're just one of the best mics on earth. They're really good. The other one I have at home, but that Rode you've got on for the price is really, really, really good.
Can you get a decent mic for like under $100, or are you sort of out of?
You can get decent dynamic mics for under $100. Those are the ones that need power or don't need power. The problem with those is they're not as nice sounding usually. They don't have the warmth, whereas these have a lot more warmth. Those are a little flatter, but you can scream into them and they won't clip. So that's why people love them. They use them a lot in concerts because the musicians, some of them scream, some of them sing very loudly, and they don't clip. It still sounds good. So we have some in here too. But yeah, you can get mics for not that much money. I've got some mics that are about $100 that are surprisingly really, really good. You just have to try it out and see if it works on your voice and everything else. And that's part of it, getting the right mic, right voice. What we can talk about in the webinar.
Yeah. Other things about the LUC, we had some great presentations from users. We had Vicki Mueller. She presented a great case study about how game-based e-learning reduced serious safety events at the hospital where she works.
Okay.
And she actually had some great data that she presented as part of that, which we're hoping to get that in a summary form for a case study for some folks who are interested. We've just had a lot of really good stories come out of the LUC, and we did some new things with format too. We had flash presentations, 7-minute presentations that people did, so that if you didn't want to do a full 1-hour presentation, or you didn't have that much content but you wanted to deliver something quick, we gave you the opportunity to do that in these sort of lightning talks, is what we called them. And then we also had people bring some of their best examples to a sort of user showcase where they could show off some of the things that they've been working on at the networking reception, and that was really popular too.
How did the lightning talks go? Did people take them well?
I think so. I mean, it was a popular format, and one of the things that we realized was that, you know, some of the lightning talks that were 7 minutes, we actually wanted them to be quite a bit longer as we watched them, and so they may actually be developed out further in some cases. But it's a great format if you just want to get started in speaking in front of a group of people about what you're up to, or, you know, a topic that interests you.
I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah.
It just makes sense because you don't have to endure, especially if you don't like the subject that much, but you feel like you have to go. You don't have to endure a whole hour's session. You can just endure 7 minutes, and it works. And you know, some of these people know quite a bit about these things, so they may want that quick. Let's see what the 7 minutes is going to be about. And did everybody show up to those?
Yeah, I think so. We had good turnout at those sessions, and they were very popular.
That's cool. And the reception was fun. There was a lot of people there. I know we took about, I gave Tony, your art director, about 200 pictures from that. So we took a ton of pictures during the reception, and it was fun. It looked like a really good, some people never left, I heard. They just stayed there till about midnight. So they were having a good time just chatting and talking away.
Yeah, they packed up the bar and took all the food away, and they still stayed.
They still stayed. So you know what? That's a good sign, though. They were enjoying their own company, which is really good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a great group. We were really thrilled with the turnout that we got, and just generally love to meet the users of the products. And one of the things that I really appreciated about them was how many of them brought sort of their wish list with them when they met with us, and we got a chance to talk with them on the second day and actually hear. Doing sort of an open Q&A format where they got a chance to sit down and talk to Laura Silver, who's our VP of Product, and John Blackman, our CTO, and a number of the other folks on the team. And they got a chance to sort of reach out and ask questions. In some cases, you know, it's a feature that's already there. They just didn't know how to use it. And in some cases, it's something that had a lot of support around the room. You know, one of the things that surprised me was how many people wanted a feature, a sort of format painting feature, which would save them time in course creation. And that was something that I hadn't heard a lot before, but we got a lot of consensus around the room that would be helpful.
That's a typical PowerPoint feature. The format painter allows you to repeat repetitive tasks without having to constantly do it over. So let's say you have it's like, think of it as a little macro recorder. So you do all your keystrokes, you have maybe 4 or 5 or 10 steps to do one thing. And then you go, I got to do it again. I only have 400 more pages to go. Lovely. And so with this, you just go to the next page, dunk, next one, dunk, and it just does it all. And it does save a lot of time. And you know what's funny? A lot of people don't even use that in PowerPoint. But it's there if you want it. And if you're doing like a lot of repetitive production work where you want to format where a graphic is and you don't have a template created, or you want to change a filter or something, you can do that real easily, and that makes for always a good time. One thing I always enjoy is before the conference there was one of the electoral advisory board meetings, of which I was gracefully invited to. I was very graciously invited to, and I was grateful to be invited. And they're fun because not only does Trivantis listen, but you get to meet with some really fun people, and they're really bright and just share our own experiences, and you guys listen. That's the other part that's even more interesting. Not just that we're talking. I've been on advisory boards before, and it's like, okay, I'm in an echo chamber, but nothing's ever getting done. I've been on it for going on my second year now, and I can honestly say almost every single thing we've talked about is either in it now or it's I know when it's coming out, and you
Yep.
just go, wow, that really makes you feel good. It makes you feel like not only are you contributing, but you folks listen, and you do. John's always there. He's very in it. That's John Blackman, the CTO. He's very engaged and interactive in these sessions. Your CEO, you're there. Laura Silver's there. She's absolutely great. She runs them, and she does a great job as always. And well, Laura does it good at everything.
Yeah,
But,
she is.
I love Laura. She's just great. She's got that energy, and just she's smart. So it's just fun. That was a lot of fun to get to meet some of the other people and some of the product managers, and watch their reactions when you say something. Some of them, sometimes the eyes light up, going, "That's a good one." Other times they're thinking about it, but it's just a really good, I think, brainstorming session on the whole.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the other thing that was great about the LUC was we got a chance to talk a lot about CourseMill and where that's going, which is something that we're really excited about. We recently did a new release with CourseMill, and we released a new student UI. We released a mobile app, a new mobile app, and we released APIs, which our users got a chance to actually present on. I think Andy Lockwood did a presentation on using the APIs that opens up a lot of possibilities for people to do things that they haven't been able to do before in terms of customizing how they use CourseMill.
Yeah, and I was talking to Nick Haven and some of the other folks there about the new platform, because you're also now part of you're using the Amazon, what's it called? Not S3.
AWS?
Maybe it's AWS. And they said the performance is absolutely mind-boggling. They're really impressed with it. They said they want to take it to another level, but they said it goes from reading, let's say, 100 threads, what they had before, they're over 1,000 now. And if you're not technical, that's fast. It's a good thing, yeah. When you're talking that many threads simultaneously at once on just one server, we're not even talking the multi-servers that they have. Just they can measure the throughput. It's fast, and they said it's only going to get faster with some of the new things they're doing, some of the new development that's going to happen. So that's pretty exciting. You guys did all that in about a year.
Yeah, there's been a lot of work on it. I don't know exactly when Fredo started. I want to say it was a little less than a year.
Less than a year, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, and but that team has really come up to speed very quickly, and made CourseMill a priority for us in terms of getting development happening on a really regular schedule, and we're getting features in that users really are looking for. And we got a chance to go through the roadmap at the LUC, and you could see a lot of light bulbs going on as people started hearing about things like, our upcoming support for things like Zappy and other things that we have planned around the UI. And I think that there was a lot of sort of excitement in the room, and that's always fun to be around.
Any social media plans?
I'm not gonna go into the full roadmap with you guys.
That's what I always hear about. Everybody wants to collaborate with somebody on a course or something else. Did you take the course? Did you like it? Did you get it? I see that. The other thing I hear a lot is usually things like leaderboards and badges.
Yeah, and some of the gamification features that LMS is having.
Yeah.
Those are in the roadmap, and we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm an old grump because I don't need a leaderboard. I don't care about badges. It's just like, but a lot of people do, and it makes it fun for them. So hey, you know what? If they're enjoying it and it's fun, it makes them learn more. Go for it.
Yeah.
Because really, it comes down to how good is it for you? What do you get out of it? I've always liked CourseMill. I've worked on it probably on and off over the last 6-7 years, and I like it because it's a very simple interface, and yet it doesn't really lack a lot of functionality. It's all there, but they didn't make it difficult. And some of the ones I've worked on, which are some of the top name brands, let's just say you don't always get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So,
well, I love this new student UI, and I think that was a huge hit when we got a chance to sort of show people what that looked like. If you haven't had a chance to see it yet, and you want to check it out, sign up for a trial, and we'll introduce you to the new student UI and give you an opportunity to see how intuitive it is, and also give you a chance to sort of see the mobile app and how that works, even when learners are offline, which is pretty cool.
Yep, and we just have the website up so that people can see the link to it.
The button. Yeah.
Hit the button. Don't not click that button.
I think you want to say click that button.
I know, I'm just joking. That's programmer speak. I always got to say that. Click that button. We know where you are. The minute you come up, we know where you are. Click that button. But no, those are good trials. Those are fun to do. We have a course mill account, and it's one of the ones we always test our courses against to make sure it works, because it's one that follows SCORM really well. Mm-hmm. And if it works on your system, it usually works everywhere. So we use SCORM Cloud to do testing, and we use Course Mill to do testing. And they both really do their job. And usually, if it works on one, it works on the other. Mm-hmm. So that's good, because SCORM Cloud is a really good test environment. And then we say, okay, now let's try it against a real one. And then we try it in Course Mill, then work like a champ. If it doesn't, then we know we have a problem somewhere in the course. Because I haven't found any incompatibilities yet with anything we've done in SCORM. So that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, we've got great SCORM support, and the integration with the products is native and is improving even. And so we're really excited about it. I think Course Mill represents a big part of our business, mm-hmm. and a lot of our customers are using it. But I would love to see more people be exposed to it. We're really well known for Lectora and less well known for Course Mill.
Right.
And so that's one of the things that we were excited about it with the LUC, was an opportunity to share some of the success stories that people are having with the product.
Well, it's fun because I was talking with some of the Course Mill developers, and it was really fun because we started getting into indexing and performance and speed, and I was a database architect. So I get into that stuff. It brings me back to my old IT days. I'm like, yeah, that's fun. And we've done a lot of database tuning for people throughout the years. When we were doing IT work around the country with some pretty large companies, that was a lot of fun, just tuning databases and getting in there and say, oh, you're not slow, your database is slow. Let's fix it. Add an index here, do a little bit there, and all of a sudden things work. And it's fun. That's the geek side coming out. To me, it's fun. If you can get that kind of performance with a multi-user system with a lot of concurrent users, mm-hmm. it's fun. That's always those kinds of things. Like, we achieved something.
Yeah.
Now, Lectora was no slouch at this Lectora user conference. John Blackman showed a lot of the stuff that's coming out in the next and later versions.
Yeah.
I was kidding him throughout the whole show, going, "You don't have an NDA, do you?"
It's always fun working with John, because you're not exactly sure what he's going to present. He's a little bit like Steve Jobs in terms of how he's going to do it. He's going to present the things that people are going to be really excited about,
mm-hmm. and he's excited about.
Yeah.
Because he was talking about one that's coming out soon, which is the timeline feature.
Yeah.
But he took a different spin to timelines, which I actually liked. At first, I had no idea what he was going to do with the timeline. I was going to go, that's going to be kind of tricky, making the whole thing time. But he says, no, we make the things that are important timeline-based, because most people are not video editors.
Right.
And so you give them a timeline, they're like, oh, what do I do? I've seen this with Captivate, Storyline. Well, the minute you get to the timeline, people freeze. Now, some are video editors, but a lot aren't, and they go, what do I do? Well, look at your objects, and you can move them. That's probably one of the hardest things for people to learn when they're not into video editing or Flash programming or anything like that. And yet, the way he did it was very visual, which I loved, because it wasn't just having to worry about frames. It was seeing time visually, but seeing also the graphics of what you're moving. And he goes, it's perfect for transitions, for mm-hmm. other effects. And the rest you're still handling the way it should be, because Lectora is event-driven, which makes so much more sense, because that's the real-world applications. Most of them are event-driven. They're not time-driven. And that's why a lot of authoring tools have a hell of a time really doing correct application development simulations or other things that are really based on what happens when, not what happens across time. That's totally different. And event-driven to me makes a lot more sense as an ex-programmer, because things happen in events in the real world. It's, you click here, something happens. You click there, something happens. But if you've got time going on, then you've got to be careful where that cursor is as it's going through, or the pointer is as it's going through time, because time is constantly moving, and you've got to track that, and that has nothing really to do with what you're doing often on a screen. So I like the way he designed it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, we had a lot of great feedback about that at the show. People seemed really excited. And it's going to, I think, be a great tool for people who want to be able to sync things up, and we're having challenges doing that in a visual, quick way before.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we are with time, but
So we're good.
we're talking about timeline. But that feature is very, very popular.
It's going to be, I think, a game changer for Lectora too, because it's going to let people think a little bit differently about it and bring up some things. It's going to make some things easier that aren't hard right now, but they're a little more tedious. And with this, it's going to be a no-brainer. Just, done.
Yeah, I love John's example when he actually had 3 different events that all were supposed to happen, and you wanted them to occur and then end at the same time. That's 3 different animations.
Yeah.
That's something you can do with the product, and he sort of showed that application in particular. But there were a bunch of things that we showed with
There
Lectora.
were. In fact, I was talking to Darren Lucan in an interview, and he goes, "John's talking about stuff we haven't even started yet." He goes, "It's on a piece of paper somewhere." But you know what? That's exciting.
I think people want to know. I think they want to know where you're going, and they want to know what.
Yeah, because all the vendors are so secretive. Don't show anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't let anybody know what you're about to do. And he doesn't care. He goes, "You know what? We're going to do what we do. We're going to do it right, and it's going to work." And I love that. I just love that about him too, because you can see when he's talking about it, there's enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And that enthusiasm parlays into something that works usually. And so that's pretty exciting. So I love what he did on that. That was absolutely cool.
Yeah, he's a great colleague, and that was a really great session. And then maybe the last session we should talk about is the Q&A session. That seems to always be one of the most popular sessions. Do you have any idea why? Because I go in there and it seems like
I do. It's like most people don't like to call support, because usually in most companies support doesn't get you the immediate answer. You may have to go 1 or 2 levels up. But when you get some of the top guys in the company who know what they're doing, they actually, I've talked to these guys and they know what line of code they're talking. Oh yeah, that's in that program, like line 28, I think. And I'm like, holy smoke. They actually talk about, and so to have a chance to talk to people who you don't normally talk to, you don't normally get to, on a support call, you're not going to get John. And to have somebody ask these people questions about all the different things that could go wrong, or that they want to know about, or they're not sure how to do, and they help them right then and there. And I've heard that too. The people come out saying that is one of their favorite things about the show, that they feel they're not just getting a good lecture, a good seminar, good keynotes. They're getting a lot of help and information they normally don't get at any show.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually brilliant. It's a good thing to do, and it makes life easy just for them as end users, because you notice that the Lectora crowd's a development crowd. They tend to be very program oriented. They love actions. They love advanced, at any advanced action groups. They love putting things together so it's reusable. That requires a programming bent, and they have that bent. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. And they love that. You could tell that's where their minds are tweaked, and they want to get deeper into it. How do I make it better? How do I make it more exciting? And that's exactly what they do. So those events, when you have all the top guys and the top technical guys helping out, that's priceless. I really do think that's priceless. That alone is probably worth the cost of the conference for a lot of them.
I think so. It's one of the most popular sessions that we get at the show every year. But when I look at the comments, I'm always surprised that the thing that looks like a little bit like people getting a live technical support call was the thing that people found to be one of the most valuable things about the show.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't like to call support, period, because they're either shy or they don't want to sound stupid. We've had that before where people say, "Can you call support?" Okay. And a day later, "Hey, what did support tell you?" "Oh, I didn't call." "Why don't you call?" I didn't want to call." "Why don't you want to call?" "I'm afraid." And it's for all the tools. People are afraid. "I don't want to call. What if I say something stupid?" I go, "They're used to that. So you can be as stupid as you want. Nobody cares." Because, and most of the time, it's just an FAQ. It's just something that everybody knows, or nobody knows well, and everybody else is in the same boat. And so support, what is it? 80% of the time they answer the same questions, and then probably 20% they get something kind of odd or tricky, or maybe it's a bug, which there are not that many of them, but maybe every so often you'll have a bug. And that's another thing about Trivantis that I've always loved. When there are bugs, I can literally go through support or put up a bug list, or I can call John. I know John personally, so I can cheat a little bit. But I can call and he'll go, "Oh, you're kidding." And it's fixed within a day. On the whole, I'd say within a day. Usually it's very quick. And that's awesome, because that doesn't happen very often in other tools. I can guarantee you that. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Or usually I get, that's not a bug, that's a feature. Yeah. I get that a lot. It's like, no, it isn't. That's bad design. No, there are no bad designs, only features. Okay. So, yeah, I've never got that kind of BS from John or any of the developer team. They really, when you tell them, I think I found a bug, the ears prick up, the eyes open up. They're actually serious about fixing them.
Yeah.
So, that's one thing I just totally respect, that when they have that level of affinity with the product and really concern about what goes out, that's that priceless value that you can't really put on a product, but it's there. So,
well, I think a lot of them take it really seriously because they know our customers are using the product all day long, right? So 8 hours a day using the product, they want the customers to be successful and they want them to have a good experience. So they put a lot of effort into their work and they take a lot of pride in it.
That's great.
It's fun to be able to
that's wonderful. And you guys are doing a lot of stuff. You've been doing a lot more with marketing on the stuff that you're doing. You got Tony on board doing his thing, and I love Tony. He's great.
Yeah, he is.
I actually got to meet Tony's parents at the show. These are those little things that you don't think about much. You're at a show, and all of a sudden, Tony comes up and goes, "Let me introduce you to my parents." So met his mom and his dad. They were just great, absolutely great. We immediately just gave him hugs, and she's like, I like hugs. But they were just darling and sweet, and I didn't realize Tony's from Ohio.
Yep.
And so he and his parents now, I guess they live up near Cleveland, but they were down there, and he goes, yeah, he left, and his dad was telling me, I told him, go anywhere when you leave, but don't go to LA or California. So what does he do? Both sons went to California, both in the LA area. I think that's hilarious. I go, sorry, Dad, that's what happens.
That's the risk of telling your kids what not to do.
Yeah, I know. The minute you say that, it's like, go to LA. Yeah, be careful with your kids. LA is not the best place for kids sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially the ones who want to be actors. It's like, we see a lot of them in restaurants, but it's interesting. But anyway, well, I think we're about at the end of our time. As always, it's a great pleasure having you on.
Thank you for
just
having
chatting me. And I'm just excited about what you guys are doing. There's always fun stuff coming, and I don't know if I told you, but we told this to some of the people at the show. We just did a very complex course that we really wanted to do in Lectora, and we made a mistake. We got the wrong tool, or the wrong object. We were looking for a scrolling text object, which we needed, but we made a mistake. The scrolling text object is just scrolling text. We needed the web object. But I was thinking the web object, because I haven't really used the web object too much, because I thought it was more to bring websites in and things. No, it would have done exactly what we needed. You could put anchors and you could put hotspots and everything. So in essence, that would have simulated 100% what we needed to do in a much more powerful way. And we lost that because by then we were too deep. But now we know. So we went through hell, literally, with a different tool to get that to work. And it worked pretty well, but it was painful. Let's just say it was very painful. It would have been so darn easy in Lectora.
Yeah, the web object is super powerful.
Yeah, and John was showing it to me a little bit better, and I'm sitting there with my head bent down. And Leslie's looking at me like, it's your fault. That's my
great.
wife. Yeah, even though it was her choice, but it was like, it was my fault. It's always my fault. We've been married 33 years. It's always my fault. It's easier.
At least you guys are both clear on that.
Yeah, no, it's just a lot easier. There's no fights anymore because it's my fault. No, my fault. I quit. So anyway, again, just a pleasure having you on again, Scott.
Thank
we'll
you.
see you soon. And we're going to have some more shows coming up pretty soon too, with some pretty interesting people. We've got a couple lined up, and we'll be having those imminently. And for all of you who are wondering, Sergey is no longer our co-host. He had scheduling conflicts, so he will be doing his branch track stuff, and he does a great job with that. But I think being on camera and doing this, and plus all the other stuff he's doing, he didn't have time for both. So we wish him the best with branch track, and we use branch track too. So it's a great product, and you'll see him around. He'll be on the show as a guest. He likes guesting. I don't think he likes hosting that much. Anyway, so for all you people in the chat room, please subscribe and send us your feedback. What you'd like to hear, what you'd like to talk about. Come on the show. We're always looking for guests. Have a good one, everyone. We will see you next weekend. We'll see you later. Scott,
Thanks everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rick.